Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we will be taking a look at the brand new Tommy gun, otherwise known as the Typewriter. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's that I see on the horizon? It's a typewriter. Not the typewriter that you may expect, but a Tommy gun. One that was used for horrific crimes in the past. Alright, anywho, this Tommy gun, called the Typewriter, is the new weapon coming out this week in the weekly store. I'm not sure if it's going to be a recurring weapon, if it's going to go into llamas, or what, but it is the Typewriter. The Typewriter is a gun. The gun shoots stuff. Alright, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Where were we? Ah, yes, Typewriter. Here we have the new legendary Typewriter. I upgraded it to Silver 58, as is the norm so far, but I'm kind of running out of XP, so that might start getting a bit lower. Does some good damage here. We've got the damage stats, headshot damage, all this stuff here. Keep in mind this may change based on the perks. I'm not sure if they were static or not. I believe, well, at least I would think they are not static. I believe they change. I made mine energy because why not? Here is the crafting, the usual crafting stuff for an assault rifle. And all this, these are the stats here. My typewriter may be different than everyone else's, so just clarification for anyone that is wondering why your typewriter is better or worse than mine, or maybe your opinions are different. That may come into play here. So, on to our wonderful comparisons to other weapons. So first, I am going to compare you to Bobcat. Similar roll weapons, both have high fire rates and medium to low damage. So here we see that the Typewriter has a bit of a higher damage stat, just barely. Just barely. By that, I mean like a few points. Higher headshot damage, again, just barely. Higher critical hit chance, higher critical hit damage. That may be because of my perks, though. Here we have fire rate, a lot lower, actually, a lot lower. It looks like your DPS is far higher. So the Bobcat's DPS is definitely far higher. The magazine size is actually lower than the Bobcat, although that may be because I have a magazine perk on here. Alright, you're actually very similar without those. Range and durability, the same. Reload time, a bit lower. Very nice, because the Bobcat's was very high, although it is only by 0.3 of a second, and will cost 1. Impact is a bit higher. So this one, similar to the Bobcat in most ways, like damage and headshot damage, bit slower fire rate. So that may impact this DPS by about 3,000 or so. I was scared that I just misread that, and I would have been very sad if I said 3,000 it was 4, but no, I'm actually good at the maths when it comes to 5 versus 8. Almost equal in terms of individual shot damage, definitely not the same in terms of fire rate, though. So, for the Typewriter, essentially a slower firing Bobcat. Now, let's move on to the firing noise and just the general feel and opinion of the weapon after I do some rating. This is a very quick thing, but one thing that I love about the little details that they put into their new weapons is check out how the Pathfinder holds the Siegebreaker. Now, look at that. Just kind of hip firing here. You shoot just like this. As opposed to the Siege Breaker, you're holding it up, it's from the hip here. So I love this little detail that they added in. May not go noticed by some people, but it's definitely a cool little thing. Just compared to other weapons, it's nice to see just the weapon type held kind of hip firing stance. It's cool that they add little details like this into the game. These are the rules for scoring weapons. Number 1, damage dealing, how deadly and consistently deadly the weapon is. Number 2, roll, how does the weapon execute its intended function. Number 3, accuracy, how accurate the weapon is. Number 4, satisfaction, how satisfying is the gunplay of the weapon. And number 5, efficiency, how efficiently per unit of ammunition is the weapon. So, for damage dealing, the weapon got a 6 out of 10. It does do decent damage, however, as I will mention later, it is outclassed highly by similar weapons and even weapons that aren't even close to its intended function, such as the Tiger outclassing it in DPS. Number 2, roll. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Even though its DPS isn't too high, it can definitely lay out a spread of damage that can suppress the enemy. Number 3, accuracy. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It is decently accurate. However, there is a large wiggle to it. As you saw when I was showing the gunplay, I was not touching the mouse later in that video, and it was kind of wiggling all over the place. Number 4, satisfaction. How satisfying is the gunplay? 4 out of 5. Decently satisfying. However, it can be kind of annoying when the damage just isn't enough. And number 5, efficiency. How efficiently per unit of ammunition is the weapon? I would give it a 3 out of 5. It does do definitely okay damage. However, it really needs more damage for its rate of fire. It is a bit of a slow weapon compared to a weapon like the Bobcat, so it can't be used as much for spray either. But that is my rating and overall score, 20 out of 30. Also, casual side note, the fire rate is so average on the weapon that stuff like a Siege Breaker beats it by 3 points. The Bobcat, again, has a much higher fire rate, but it has a very low fire rate for its damage per shot. So, Ryan's are, do we buy the Typewriter? Personally, I would say no. Looking at the stats and comparing it to other weapons of its ilk, unless you don't have something like the Bobcat or a solid high fire rate weapon like the Siege Breaker, it generally has medium-ish damage, lowest DPS, and a low fire rate for what you would assume. So it's a bit underwhelming in that capacity. However, that isn't to say that it can't put out damage. So if you are collecting it, or collecting similar weapons, collecting anything, or you don't have a very good assault rifle schematic already, such as the Bobcat or Siege Breaker, anything of that ilk, I would say maybe give this one a pass. However, if you are collecting it, if it does look cool to you, sound cool, you like little details like firing from the hip, I would say give it a try. If you feel like you can farm up the gold for it, it's definitely worth having. It's not a crappy weapon, but it's also not one of the best by any means. Anywho, that does it for this episode of B4Ubuy gun reviews, whatever. And if you enjoyed, please send up a like and subscribe. Voice your opinions in the comments about the weapon, about similar weapons. Every comment, every like helps the YouTube algorithm propel me further into the chaos of actually having a decently successful channel. So I will see you later. Thanks for watching.